Resuming debate, the honourable member of Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll be splitting my time with the member from Charleswood, St. James, Assiniboia, Headingley. So this concurrence motion, I believe, is very timely. It's important. I'm very disappointed. I hear this one of the members on the Liberal side saying that it is not important. Maybe I misheard, but it seemed like. But it's very unfortunate because, you know, even though the war that's happening in Ukraine is maybe out of the front pages right now, it's impacting the world, it's impacting millions of people. It's tens of thousands have lost their lives. Millions have fled as refugees, many of them coming to Canada. And it's a terrible thing that's happening. And we need to be bringing this forward and continuing to take actions, because words are cheap. Words are cheap. It's the actions that matter. And that is a concern that I've had, we have on this side with the Liberal government, is plenty of words, and I'll talk about that, plenty of, oh, we care, we have sympathy, but oftentimes action is either lacking or minimal or could be a lot better. So I think that this motion is important to bring forward, and I'm hoping that we'll have unanimous approval. I was recently in Eastern Europe, met with NGOs, Ukrainian refugees, with government officials, was in Poland and talked with these individuals, and I was just surprised at just how, we've heard in the papers, but how there has been millions that have come through that nation, tens of thousands have come on to Canada, but it is, they don't have refugee camps. It's they have actually opened up their homes and allowed them to come into their homes. They were there, and they've given militarily. They've given militarily in a very significant way. And I know that Canada has contributed in various ways militarily, in training, in some arms for guns, some other equipment. And I think that's very disturbing, because words don't stop a dictator like Putin. And we need to be Canada needs to be much more at the plate than we have been and are right now. It's very unfortunate. We have allowed our military to deteriorate. The French ambassador, I was in a meeting with a number of other MPs, bipartisan, he made some comments about Canada's military. He made them public the following day, saying the world needs more of Canada. And he was talking specifically of our military. We need to be stronger and not allow just the rusting away of our arms, so we can support in a very practical way of self-defense Ukraine. I mean, the motion here, different parts, it says that the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration report the following to the House. We, A, condemn the continuing attack on Ukraine ordered by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Yes, we do condemn, and this House is unanimously condemned. But again, it's coming up to the plate, stepping up. I was born on a Canadian military base, or Baden-Söllingen, in Germany during the Cold War. When I was about 2-3 years old, the Iron Curtain went up. And it was, my dad talked to me years later and saying it was a very concerning time for him, wondering, you know, when I was born, you know, what's this world coming to? And those threats. And then in 1989, 1990, 1991, you know, thanks to the brave actions of the Polish people, other Eastern Europeans standing up, the wall fell, figuratively. And that was amazing. And then it was like, okay, as was mentioned by my colleague from Sherwood Park about the peace dividend. Okay, well, we can just let our military go to pot. And that is unfortunately what's happened. We have great soldiers, our military. I can only have the highest compliments for our service personnel. But our service personnel, they've told me that they can only, one fellow I was talking to he was actually at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, a Remembrance Memorial here in Ottawa. He said even though he's in infantry, they only practice one time a year because they didn't have the ammunition to practice. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. We need to stand up for strengthening our military so we can help other countries and not just rely on the United States. We need to be strong in this way. So that's something very practical. In my visit to Europe, I know others have visited, other MPs and others, but I did have my wife and I had an opportunity to go to Auschwitz, and that's a grieving visit. It's not something that you go and just snap a few shots, pictures. It is a place where of real reflection and contemplating the depravity of where humans can go to. There's a place where the crematorium and the gas chambers were located. The German SS troops blew it up before the Allied forces took it over, but the remains are still there. And I just was reflecting. I thought of the hundreds of thousands of people that had died in this space that is maybe half the size, the most of this chamber, as far as the gas chamber and the crematorium. Hundreds of thousands, probably more people have died there than anywhere else in the world, in history. And it's just a reflection just of where totalitarianism can go and dictatorships can go. And Canada is a land of a free, true north, strong and free. We need to continue to stand up for them, for all those that seek freedoms. The second part of this motion says, recognizing that a growing proportion of the Russian people are bravely resisting and opposing the attack. I feel for many of the Canadians of Russian heritage in Canada. You know, it's not their decisions what happened. And they have, when I have gone door to door in my community, I've met people from Eastern Europe, but your Russian ancestry or immigrated in the past number of years, past 10, 20, 30 years, they are most appreciative of the freedoms that we experience in Canada. And there are many Russians that are trying to flee that nation, hundreds of thousands, because of decisions of Putin, of the military taking men of all ages, basically almost, and pressing them into service as cannon fodder. They're fleeing. Canada needs to do all it can and to step up and to help, including people that are trying to flee from Russia. Thank you.
Question.